Get the dance going.
Here we go. Get pumped up. Welcome back to the Kinville Show. This is episode 5, maybe. We don't need to confirm that. We'll just go with it. We'll say it's episode 5. I'm fairly certain that it is. Today we're being joined.
It's actually episode 6, but
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but
Almost at it. Almost. Well, I've never been a numbers guy.
well, episode 5 is the best Star Wars. So
Yeah, well,
I don't know what that
so
adds.
you can see if you look at me, I'm sitting over here in space right now. I'm in Star Wars land. We did a little bit of updating to the studio, and then if you want to cut over to Dad and Calvin sitting across from me, they're over there in the Pioneer Land, Frontier Land,
Santa's workshop.
Santa's workshop, ski
Ski
shop. Yeah, tonight we're being joined. We got Dad, Calvin, Carter, and Curtis sitting around the horn here, and myself. You got Caleb. I'm the front gunner, star of the show, as indicated by the recliner,
bulldog.
the reclining
director's chair.
We discussed it, and I said, guys, are you sure? I was like, is this what everybody wants? I don't know if I can take the pressure.
Amy's notification squad.
That's
Nice.
right. Go ahead,
First.
subscribe, and turn that bell on if you want to be the first to hit the chat. It's a coveted spot. You're going to have to fight hard if you want to beat on Amy to the chat, but you can certainly try. I'd love to get a competition going first in the chat, but also just the chat at all. It's fun to interact with people, so if you want to watch live, you can do that and tune in. Right now, Tuesdays, what time is it? It's like 7 probably by now.
620.
All right, yeah. So yeah, Tuesdays around 6:30. That's what we're shooting for, and
A little early today.
we're expanding beyond that. Carter and I have been doing Fridays as well, and we're talking about doing more than that. So TBD on more nights of the week. But for right now, you can count Tuesday night. Come join us live at 6:30. Hopefully, you got nothing better to do. Yeah, I mean, this is a new studio, really. If you are sitting down here, or at least it's for me where I'm sitting, it's a different perspective in the studio because usually I'm sitting where Calvin's sitting, and Carter also went and did all this work on that wall over there. So
Something new every week.
yeah, I think you kind of blew it here. You could have said we're on location from the lodge somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I should have
True.
said you guys were like in Aspen or something. And Calvin's got his
Or in Steamboat.
Calvin's got his Yeti sweater on too. He's at Yeti's ski resort,
Yeti Ski
Yeti.
School.
Yeti Ski School.
You know what? I thought it would be funny to. We have the Star Wars wall, the ski wall, and I thought it'd be funny to if I took down the Star Wars picture behind me, and got like a picture from, I don't know what golf hole it would be, but get a big picture of a golf wall.
You know,
golf
you-
green.
You should just do a green screen behind your desk, and then you guys could be anywhere you want. Like there's
Yeah,
all
but then
green screen.
Underwater.
When you cut to wide angle, it'd be a problem. I think.
Yeah, true. Then if you cut the wide angle, it'd just be green. You're right.
Yeah.
You got to be careful too. You can't bring too much sports into the equation here. You're gonna have some problems crossing over between Star Wars and sports, I think.
Yeah. Well, I guess skiing is a sport. I still can't figure out the camera
Um,
selection. But
I would say skiing is a odd thing, right? Because I would say the way Calvin does it is more of a sport, and I would say you guys more do it as a hobby or a leisure activity.
yeah, you can say the same thing about golf.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I'd say some.
Yeah, I don't
and
think-
golf, I would say you guys generally treat more like a sport.
I don't think
you're-
there's really any hard line there. Like
You don't
it's pretty
think?
much the same thing.
Well,
People say like if you go running, like for
Okay.
exercise, that could be a sport, but
eh,
it's also a leisure activity.
no.
Running is not leisure.
Yeah, that's
Well,
exercise or recreation.
But people
or something,
claim.
but
I mean, I don't enjoy it, but people
anybody
claim
that
they
says
enjoy
they
it.
enjoy running is lying.
Well,
They've
I mean-
tricked themselves, you know.
Yeah, you
To the point
got
where
to
they
tell
believe
yourself
it.
what you got to tell yourself to force yourself to abuse yourself like that.
Speaking of trying to trick yourself, one thing I was going to bring up today. So I'm on my new burrito plan, and I'm trying to trick myself into how much I love these burritos.
What's your burrito playing? What are you eating for burritos?
Well, so in efforts to bulk up this winter, every winter I'm trying to bulk up. It's bulking season. You get to wear multiple layers. So
Refried beans.
Why
Yeah.
didn't you try to bulk all summer too, though?
Well, summertime, you want to look trim. You're going to the beach, you got to take your shirt off. You don't want all that extra water weight. So, you're trying to look trim in the summertime, but it's wintertime now, so we're bulking up. And my burritos of choice, I did a breakfast burrito this morning, which I love the breakfast burrito. I could eat way more of those, but I didn't even do the French fries today, which I realized was a mistake. We should have done the fries. It adds so much. Putting French fries or home fries
Having
in your
potato.
breakfast burrito.
Having potato in a burrito.
World
is a must.
of difference. But this morning I had 2 eggs, a couple pieces of sausage, and 2 pieces of bacon in a burrito
That sounds pretty good.
with a lot of cheddar cheese in there.
Barbecue sauce?
No, I'm not a barbecue guy. I'm not a barbecue guy.
If you're serious about making burritos, you should get the frozen hash browns in an air fryer or something that you can throw those
You
in.
can get frozen home fries.
Yeah, or you could just do things the regular way and not be a weirdo. But if you want to have an air fryer and
Well, you
whatever
could
the hell.
Cook them in the oven.
Listen, I've been bulking since the 90s here, and I recommend deep fat frying. There's no way around.
There's no better method.
I think you could. It's convenience, though. It's not about being weird if you buy frozen potato.
Well, we do things the real way. Like the other day, we cooked a whole bunch of stuff and we made these burritos ahead of time. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to. Convenient for me is getting it all done and having it done and then just eating it.
Oh, there's beer.
Bear's making his inaugural annual appearance. What was I trying to say?
I don't know,
Inaugural?
but there's
Is that a word?
You
Second
should get a little
appearance.
bit of
Second
salsa to put in it because
Yeah.
I
Okay,
like
so
better.
you guys are welcome to feed yourselves whatever you'd like, but if you want, I'll tell you what I've been eating. But
He doesn't eat tomatoes.
I don't do
No
vegetables.
vegetables.
I don't do vegetables. It's never stunted my
You
growth.
can't have a tomato. You can't have a pepper.
I'm a milk guy.
Can't have a pickle.
I'll have all the milk in the world, but don't give me a vegetable.
I'm a milk guy.
We're Costco guys. But no, so my burrito that I've been doing, so really, we made a couple of them on Monday, and I ate one then, and then I had another one today. But today was like the first day of having them all pre-packaged and ready to go. About 2 minutes in the microwave, and then you got to let it set for a while because it's too hot. But if you do less than 2 minutes, it's not cooked warmed all the way through. So my burrito consists of white rice, refried beans, cheddar cheese, and chicken. And this particular batch of chicken that I was using, Dad, what would you call it? This was the boiled or
Yeah, just to make shredded chicken.
shredded chicken, yeah.
You kind of boil it in some seasoning and a chicken base, and I don't know. You cook it until it falls apart, basically.
And basically what happens, because it's being cooked in all the water, it gets more like juice and the flavor in the juice, and so it really
It's got the juice.
It's got the juice, and that really helps. Make sure think of what I just told you: cheddar cheese, white rice, refried beans. The only thing that has any flavor is whatever seasoning this chicken had. And I realized that was probably a mistake. Like I kind of knew going into that, I'd probably have to find some kind of like hot sauce or something to.
Yeah,
Put
hot sauce
on
or
it.
normal person maybe would use barbecue sauce, but
Yeah.
or the salsa, which we tried
Salsa.
that the other day. That was good.
Salsa's not bad, but
Spicy
I'm just
mayo.
I'm not a spicy mayo maybe. But yeah, anyway, so
Queso.
I'm only one
Yeah.
day in here, and I did it. I ate my whole burrito for lunch, and
If you're gonna bulk though, you got to get like 4 or 5 of those things down.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, so what I'm hoping though is so these burritos. I'm coming off kind of a bad streak of really just not like eating breakfast and lunch, right?
Yeah.
Like all together. And just I pretty much just eat at dinner, and
This is what Mom worries
I've
about.
been on that stretch since I've been working for myself.
yeah. So depending on where you're starting at, it could be a benefit, it could be a negative. Obviously, for me, it's a negative. I should be eating more than that. But so my idea is I get these burritos down. Start off like if I don't have a planned dinner, I'd eat a burrito for dinner. But that's basically my idea. Is like start off with the 3 burritos a day and then expand. Like ideally, I'd like to eat my lunch burrito that's good for me, and then I'd also like to eat 2 cheeseburgers, a large fry, and a chocolate milkshake. You know what I mean? Like I'd like to be able to slam all that down.
Yeah, well, you got to add in like second breakfast and first, second, and third lunch.
Yeah,
Afternoon snack.
You know what would
First
be good?
dinner.
yeah.
You know what? I was watching on YouTube this one of the strongest guys. He used to be on the Strongest Man TV show, and he was getting ready for arm wrestling. He's going to an arm wrestling.
Pretty famous guy, if you could remember his name.
Yeah.
Shaw.
Is it the Russian?
Yeah, Shaw, and he
I
was
know.
doing
I'm
some
a fan of the
bulking.
circuit.
He was doing some bulking for arm wrestling, and I think it was at least 3 times a day he eats 16 ounces of meat, and then on top of that he eats a bunch of vegetables, and in between the meat he eats fruit, and he
Bunch of
eats
fries.
he eats like 6 meals a day.
You basically have to
He's a
eat
ginormous
nonstop.
guy, though.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be that ginormous, but I'm trying to just not be frail.
You know what would be a good green to put on that? Spinach.
Well, so
Spinach in
that's
the
my other wrap with the grilled chicken. I was doing spinach, a little bit of cheese, and Caesar dressing with the grilled chicken for
Like cold?
Yeah, just eat it cold. Grilled chicken Caesar wrap.
Cold.
Eat it cold.
How much weight you looking to gain?
Well, like I think in a perfect world, right? Like if I could just have it, be perfect. I'd like to set right around 200 pounds, but not fat. Obviously, I want to be fit, but I think like around 200 pounds for how tall I am. I don't think that's if I wanted to look fit. I think 200 pounds.
I think you'd probably still look
ideally.
a little frail at 200, to be honest.
Do you know what he weighs now?
I'm going to guess 160.
I clocked in at like 152 the other day.
How much you weigh?
152?
Like
Look at this kid.
my ribs is sticking out. It's dangerous.
How much you weigh, Curtis?
I weigh around 180, 185, something like that. That's why I'm saying I feel like
Maybe, but
200 might
we're,
still be
I'm
frail.
talking about gaining 50 fucking pounds here. That's a big jump,
Yeah.
So, and I'm not just saying I just want to be fat or something. I'm saying I'm just gonna. That's why the burrito is a very lean, protein driven thing. Is the idea is to give my body something to build with.
Well, I'm a bit of a burrito connoisseur. Get a lot from the gas stations, all around. So
You know what the problem with eating burritos, I feel like, is not having a real burrito wrap and having to eat it in a tortilla. Not having that. Like when you go to a Chipotle or something and they wrap it in a real burrito wrapper,
Yeah.
it tastes a lot better.
Yeah, I agree, but
Good luck finding one where we live, though.
they don't offend me. And the thing is, if you make these burritos ahead of time, gives the tortilla a chance to soften up with all the warm stuff inside of it, and then you microwave it again. It comes out warm and soft. It's
But
not,
then,
not an issue.
If you wait too long, it starts to get rubbery.
True. After it comes out of the microwave, you got to kind of eat it fast, otherwise it will get rubbery.
anyway, that's why I was saying put some salsa in it, because that's one of my favorite burritos I get at in Molten Borough. They get potato, sausage, egg, potato, cheese, and some salsa, and the salsa makes it. And otherwise it's just gross.
Amy said to eat some whoopie pies.
That's a
Yeah.
great idea. Well, that's what I'm saying.
did we-
I want to.
Yeah, I think carb loading is the way to go.
Yeah. Well, I
Why
think
don't you like pasta? Learn to like pasta.
well, I like it okay. I was eating the hell out of some lasagna over the weekend.
Lasagna.
Got a bunch
You know,
of that down.
that's something I got to bring up here. Everybody loves lasagna now. And when you guys were little, everybody hated it. No one would go near it. It was a big fight.
I can tell you one thing for certain that has changed for me from when I was a kid. Like a lot of stuff, I don't know. Like as a kid, certainly I was irrational and a child, right?
Yeah, it's normal.
You don't have any comprehension. But one thing that I know for sure has changed and why I like lasagna more is I remember as a kid, like the whole thing had to be deconstructed for me to be able to eat it. I couldn't get a bite on the fork that had all the stuff on it at once. So you end up with a pile of cheese, a couple bites with some meat, and then you have to eat the noodles all by themselves.
Yeah.
And that's how I remember eating lasagna as a kid. For a couple of reasons. One, your mouth is small, but two, you're just not that coordinated with the fork to get a
Right.
nice scoop of. Now, you give me a slice of lasagna, probably 4 bites. Like if it's like a regular slice of lasagna, probably 4 bites, I'll have that thing down. and that increases my enjoyment because you get all that stuff packed in one bite,
Yeah.
and that's how it's made.
I can remember what I didn't like.
Yeah,
I didn't. Well, originally I hated chunky tomato sauce. I've come around on that. I can deal with the chunky tomato sauce. The other thing is I've never been a huge fan of pasta, and the huge slabs of lasagna pasta, especially when they get burnt at the end and they get crispy.
That's what I was gonna say. The really burned, crispy pasta is one of the things that
Yeah,
put it-
nobody likes that. but-
yeah. That's how I remember eating it though, all the time, just gnawing on a piece of uncooked pasta.
like a dog.
Yeah,
But
either
you know,
that-
like,
dog treat.
and I'm not a huge fan of what is it, the ricotta cheese.
Yeah.
I'm still really not a fan.
Yeah,
of
I've
that,
definitely
but
come around on that too.
and
I haven't come around. I still don't like it.
as a kid, like you can be so like you've had lasagna 100 times as a kid, right? And you might not even know. Like you say, "What's for dinner tonight?" and your parents say lasagna. You go, "Oh, what's that?" Right? Because today your brain is coming alive again, and you have no idea that you've had lasagna 100 times throughout your life. But you're just like, "Oh, what's lasagna?" You know, you felt like learning something today,
Yeah.
and you know, I don't know.
Well,
it's just one of those. So
Did that happen to you? Is
no,
that
but
what you-
okay. Where I was going to go with this is Curtis's crunchy lasagna thing. That could have been one time, but in a kid's memory,
Yeah.
now
It's
it's
traumatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time you think of lasagna, you think of that crunchy piece. That'll happen to a kid.
I gotta back to eating stuff when we were little. Whose idea was it to eat tuna noodle casserole, and who likes tuna noodle casserole? Because
I like it. Caleb liked it when we told him that the celery was M&Ms.
Because I was thinking about that the other day, being an adult and what I might eat for the rest of my life, and I can say I will never ever cook tuna noodle casserole.
What's even in tuna noodle casserole?
Well, it's supposed to be cream of mushroom soup usually, but we use cream of celery because we don't like mushrooms. A can of tuna and noodles, really. It's really all it is.
It's like hamburger helper,
just,
but with
that
tuna.
just sounds foul. Like
Of course it does, but it's I don't know. It's like Depression era food.
I was gonna say it's
clean out the cabinets.
poverty
Yeah.
food.
This
Can
is
of tuna.
terrible.
I grew up
Pasta,
eating peanut
pasta.
butter and mayonnaise sandwiches because that's what my grandfather ate, and I still love them to this day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
probably
that's a little weird.
it's weird, but that's more understandable than tuna noodle casserole for me.
Yeah, peanut butter and mayonnaise. I could see figuring that one out, but tuna noodle well, I guess I can even see figuring out tuna noodle casserole, right?
If you
But-
love tuna.
No. I can see totally like you literally have nothing to eat. Okay, here's
Yeah.
what we got: the can of tuna, the can of soup, whatever.
I'd rather eat raw tuna than that.
Well, okay, but you're not cooking for one. You're cooking for a
Yeah, you got to
family.
stretch this over,
Yeah.
6
Okay.
people here.
So I can see where it comes from, but I can't see how you guys love the dish so much that you figured you'd make it a staple of our childhood, because certainly you
I
guys
wouldn't
had
go
to
that
go
far.
out and buy these groceries.
yeah, I mean,
You weren't taking a punch card down to the food bank or something, and you just wound up with these ingredients.
to be honest, I had it as a kid and I still like it now. And I think that's kind of to your point, like if you grow up eating something and that's what you have, you just get used to it and you kind of like it. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I could never get used to that though.
well, but again,
But
to
does
this
anybody
point,
eat tuna on its own?
I'd like a
I
tuna
do.
sandwich or a tuna melt.
I'll eat tuna
Now,
fish.
tuna melt.
I will
cannot
not do a
get-
tuna melt.
that is
I'll eat
disgusting
a
to
tuna
me.
fish, but not a tuna melt.
Well, it's not bad. It's
Okay,
not. I like
tuna
a,
melt and tuna noodle casserole are getting kind of close. The only difference
agree.
is that the tuna noodle casserole has a little bit more flavor than just bread, tuna, and cheese. Or
Yeah, I
Still-
can't do the
I can
melt.
still smell and taste it when I think of tuna noodle casserole. It's just
oh, that's what we're having tomorrow night.
Well, so you know what I was going to say. Another thing is I love SpaghettiOs. Like that's something
Yeah.
we grew up eating too. I love them. Right? It's obviously something that's made for kids.
Yeah.
And if you had never had it your whole life and then you try it as an adult, I could see where you'd be like, "This is disgusting.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe you'd eat this."
I get
But-
ragged on when I bring it to work.
Exactly. I do too because I'll eat it all the time.
I eat it right out of the can, cold, whatever. Just
Yeah.
take the cover off and
Sometimes
start
it's better.
shoveling.
Sometimes it's better cold.
I wouldn't.
Do you
agree
notice
with that.
the flavor actually changes when
I like
when
the
it's
flavor
cold?
of the can, actually. The can flavor when you're eating it cold, you're kind of scraping around in there with a spoon.
When you were logging, how do you used to heat up your SpaghettiOs?
I would take electrical tape and tape it in front of the radiator so that all the hot air blowing from the engine would heat the can up. And it would get so hot you couldn't eat it. You'd have to let it cool off.
Did you crack it open before you?
No,
Did
no.
it ever explode on
no.
you?
Never once.
I only did that. I tried to do that one time on I think I told you there was one of those high hat heaters.
Yeah.
And I stuck it on top of that.
And it exploded.
And it exploded.
Now here's
Like
a clear difference though. When was this that you were heating them up?
Maybe
like
2 years
recently?
ago, 2 or 3, or actually
So-
it's probably more like 4 now.
But
4
it had
years.
the pull tab on top, right?
Yeah.
SpaghettiOs didn't used to have that pull tab on. It used to be a
Right.
regular can because you used to keep a can opener
Yep.
in your truck.
Yep.
So that's the difference right there. The regular can's not going to pop, but those pull tab
Yeah.
ones, they're
You're
not
probably
as strong.
right. I can't remember if I was still doing that when they put the pull tab on or not, but
I literally remember in all your trucks you had a can opener somewhere. Yeah.
Didn't
so,
you have a microwave in your truck though?
I tried to, but I didn't have a good enough inverter to run it. So-
that was way back at like the birth of 12-volt technology, right? Like,
Well, it wasn't. I mean, Calvin was throwing his football helmet at the fence back then, so it
But-
wasn't that long.
It wasn't like everybody's doing van life. So
yeah, that's what I
there's
mean.
so
Like
much
now,
stuff.
now there's a ton of stuff, but back then it was like truck drivers that had a big truck, big batteries. Like that's what it was made for.
Yeah, yeah. And I was trying to run it off a little tiny inverter, and I didn't have a shot at it, but it was a good idea. It fit in the toolbox of the truck, and it would have been nice, I guess, but never worked out.
Yeah.
Did we were talking about food here? Did you guys see that? I think it was Costco. They had to recall 80,000 pounds of butter.
Really?
Yeah, you want to know why?
Why?
Because the package didn't say contains milk.
What?
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
yeah. I read this story. I couldn't even believe it.
That's insane.
That doesn't
Yeah.
sound real.
That's
That's exactly what I thought. There's no way that's real, but
and so I'll just say it in case you're one of these people that's that ignorant that need to be told, but that's all butter is milk. That's all that it is. And I know this because I went to a place and they put milk in a little plastic thing and I shook it around until it was butter. So that's what that is. If you
Yeah.
didn't know.
yeah, it's. I mean, it's actually cream, but cream and milk are obviously come from the same
It comes,
source.
yeah, it comes same teat, same bucket, just different depth.
Yeah. yeah. If
That's
you
crazy.
take cream and shake it, you get butter and you get buttermilk. And
There's been a lot of recalls recently.
yeah, just stupid
There's like
stuff.
there's a McDonald's one, but then I heard of another one. I forget what it was. It was another major recall.
Not to completely change the topic, but something I was just thinking of, all these recalls and stuff, and it just crossed my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a certain amount of rat shit that's legally allowed in peanut butter. Like that
yeah.
crossed my mind. And
That's
then
one of those things people bring up. All the
they
time.
bring up all the time, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. I'm just getting you there.
You eat like 10 human hairs every day.
Yeah, so you're talking about recalls, and then I think of rats on the peanut butter. Then I'm thinking about rats, and I wanted to tell you guys about the mouse I caught,
You cut them out.
and it sparked a little bit of a debate.
We're at the wreck.
Yeah, thanks. But anyway, I caught a mouse. Doesn't really fucking matter where.
You didn't have to. You could have said no.
Yeah, Curtis. Hey, let's real quick. All right, let's fucking derail this thing because now I'm pissed off. So one fucking time,
pissed off
just
the whole
listen.
time.
Yeah, and now I'm really fucking pissed. So watch out. You're gonna get burned. One time, okay. Years ago, Curtis and I were at a family dinner. We don't need to
Okay, here
fucking
we
say
go.
whose family, Curtis. We can just say we were at a family dinner. So
I
go.
got
So,
the hint
so
already.
all right, yeah. So we're at a fucking family dinner. Doesn't matter who. We're at a family dinner, okay? And me and Curtis are sitting across from each other at the table. Curtis looks me in the eye in front of the whole fucking family and goes, "Hey, Caleb, did you get Calvin beer and cigarettes for high school graduation?" And then he gave me the same thing. He goes, "You could have just said no." Like, yeah.
I don't think it was
okay,
at the.
asshole.
It wasn't at the kitchen table.
It was at the kitchen table.
It wasn't at a
was like
family dinner.
Oh
It
my
was-
Christ! Go fuck yourself.
I think we were in the kitchen, but
The whole goddamn family was there in the fucking kitchen. I don't care what meal it was.
I just saying we weren't eating a
Wow.
meal. I'm not saying not everyone
Yeah.
heard.
All right. Whatever.
Wow.
We're not even splitting hairs here. This is
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
I think you guys should hug.
Oh my God. No. Watch.
No.
Watch out.
Don't do it.
I swear to God, as soon as you fall asleep tonight, I'm putting a rat trap between your legs.
Yeah, so you caught a mouse anyway.
where?
Hold on. But
Wait, what's your address?
just be a little bit more specific for me next time, then. 'Cause it's not. Come up, fix your story. You're a better storyteller than that. You can put a
come on, fix
location
your
on
shit.
it.
Come
You
on.
can put
So
a
one
location
day
on it.
at
Smarten
band
up.
camp,
I was out in the shed. And I caught a mouse in the shed. Is that better, Curtis?
Yeah, that's
I
better.
gotta fucking hold your hand. Oh my God.
Wow.
Holy shit. I'm trying
Clip
to
it.
breathe. I'm
Somebody
trying to
clip
breathe.
all right. So this,
This mouse was trying to cook.
so
This
this,
goddamn mouse kept making ratatouille in my kitchen at night. Blaming it on the ginger kid, but okay. I caught a mouse. Shall we continue? And I caught a mouse, and I used the old bucket trick, right? You put a little bit of soapy water at the bottom of a bucket. You put a stick across the top of the bucket. And, you know, maybe this isn't that simple, okay?
Toilet
So-
paper roll with peanut butter.
Toilet paper rolls and peanut butter. Toilet paper rolls go on the stick. The stick lays across the bucket. Peanut butter goes in the middle. When they try from either end of the stick to run and get the peanut butter, the toilet paper rolls and they fall into the bucket. Okay? Successful method. Caught a mouse, disposed of it. But this brings up the debate I was having. Is there a humane way to kill a mouse?
no.
I don't think there is, and I can agree, like, okay, yeah, the idea of the mouse drowning is maybe not as great as the idea of its head getting smashed. I don't know, like, is this really a debate worth having? But
I think
Probably drowning is probably the best way.
I would say so, just because there's not as much of a mess.
there's not as much of a mess, and also, I've gone to a mouse trap before where the mouse is all fucked up from the mouse trap, but it's not dead.
Yeah.
That's happened before.
Think about eating Raid.
Yeah.
I don't think mice. I don't think you can kind of compare mice to being humane in any way because they're not humane with each other. They eat each other. I mean, if they're left to their own devices, they eat each other alive. So
Yeah, exactly.
That would probably be
they're
one
vicious.
of the worst ways.
I've seen them on a sticky trap before where they like chew their back legs off because their back legs are stuck in the trap.
I would never use a sticky trap. I would never use a glue trap. I think that is horrific and it's really dumb. Like that's horrible because now it's stuck to the stupid trap and you still got to do something with it. What are you gonna go drop
but
a
is
rock on it? You're gonna go throw it in the dumpster while it's still alive? I don't know. I don't like it. I'd rather just have
have a heart traps.
No, you can't do that. It's a mouse, right?
Yeah.
These things are vermin. They have to be disposed of. If I knew a guy with a pet snake, maybe I'd collect them and take them over to feed him.
Is
but-
that humane? A snake eating a mouse?
It's not humane, but it's the circle of life. The circle of life doesn't have to be humane necessarily.
Well, there's lots of scavengers. So I mean, if you drown a mouse and it's dead, scavengers will eat it.
Well, that's true, and I did think of that as I was tossing him. I was broadcasting my bucket of water with the dead mouse, and I was like, "Some bird will enjoy this." You know, there was only water and Dawn dish soap, and if you didn't know, they use Dawn dish soap to clean up oil off birds after spills. So it's practically like vitamins.
What was the point of the Dawn in the water?
Well, it's for two reasons. One, it ensures the mouse will die and not just drink the water. And two, it makes you basically you're not putting the soap in the water necessarily. You put the soap around the edge of the bucket to make sure it's slippery and they're not gonna get their little mouse claws into the plastic and climb up. Because I've seen it, like especially if you put nothing at the bottom of the bucket. Sometimes you get a deep bucket and you don't need to put anything at the bottom of. But you'll notice those things are Like they'll overcome a lot of adversity.
Yeah.
They put all kinds of claw marks and they're trying to eat their way out the bucket. One thing I was going to say is that, I left all kinds of different ways for mice to get into this bucket. And one of the things I did was take a piece of string and just tape it on the top of the bucket and have it going down the side. I don't know, it kind of made me crack up, right? This idea the mouse is going to climb up a little rope to get in. But I was saying, if mice were smart and they were collaborators, right? This little mouse that fell in my little bucket of water, he could have been just fine, because if he had a little mouse friend up on lookout, he could have said, "Throw me the rope." You could have tossed him the rope, and he could have Stuart Littled his way right out of there.
I was crawling under our deck the other day, and I was following a wire or following this pipe, and all of a sudden I shine my flashlight up, and I see this mouse with his head just sticking out of the box. Turns out he was dead, but
Oh my god.
Poor thing.
Did he get electrocuted, or did he just pass out there?
I think he just died there. I don't know. That's the way I found him.
How big is that hole?
It's about 7/8 of an inch.
So like a quarter or a silver dollar?
Yeah, I would say close to a quarter.
So that's pretty
Probably
little.
bigger than a
Why
quarter.
was it even left open?
Because
Back.
whoever the last electrician was left it open.
It's a penthouse for a mouse.
What was the name of the mouse in Bear in the Big Blue House? Do you remember? Was it just House Mouse?
No. Jeez, I can't remember.
I figured Dad probably would have been the only one to remember the character's name, but I remember because we had all the stuffed animals of every character from Bear in the Big Blue House. I remember the mouse. Is it with an? No, Rizzo is Muppets. It's
Yeah,
not Rizzo.
I can't think of it for some reason.
Are you looking, Jamie? Are you looking that up?
Yeah, I mean,
Tutter.
Tutter.
Yeah.
Pull up a picture of Tutter so
I
people can
wouldn't
see.
have got that.
We had the
Yeah, we had-
plush
we had it.
Tutter.
Yeah.
Yeah, there he is. Look at him. And actually, if you go over to that one on eBay that says in stock, that might be the plush we even
This
had.
one?
Yeah, click on that. That could have been it. Like we had all the characters. But yeah, Tutter, great. Bear in the Big Blue House. It was a Henson production. Fantastic. It was Henson, right?
it was Disney,
Jamie, can you look that up?
but I think it was a Henson.
I think it
deal,
was too.
I don't
Because
think-
nobody was doing puppets like that. Like the
No.
bear puppet itself is it's a great.
I actually think the bear that was a person, right? I mean, that was a person inside that suit.
Well, it was, but
No.
but if you I'm not completely positive, and I don't want to give away the mystery of how puppets work, so spoiler warning in case you don't want to know, but I believe I think a guy has his hand up in the head, and then one of his arms is also Bear's arm, I believe is how the puppet works.
Oh yeah, and then you have a control for the other arm.
Yeah,
It's
and
limited, but
in his head, I don't think it was all hand puppetry. It was more remotes, like the eyebrows and everything. It was a lot more electronic, but it was. I believe if you look closely, you can see a guy like hunched up weird.
yeah, I think I remember seeing that.
It was it was produced by Jim Henson Television.
Yep, that's right.
That's right, you knew.
Well, it kind of like Jim Henson did it so well, like nobody's even tried since. Like what happened? Like what's going on? And also, why is Disney refusing to properly use the Muppets IP?
Yeah, that I don't get. I mean, Jim Henson, he's there's anybody that even compares to him, and I don't even
No.
know if anyone would try. To be honest, that's probably why no one's done it, because he perfected it. Like
He did, and not only did he come up with like such a great art style, like you know when it's a Jim Henson puppet, right? But he invented so much of what's used today for just movie making in general. Like if you don't know the live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, Jim Henson built the frickin' robot puppet heads that these Ninja Turtles were wearing. And that technology has translated into so many different things. That's how they do the new Chewbacca character at Disneyland. When you see him walking around and his mouth opens, all this stuff. That's all because of the innovations that the Henson Company made.
yeah, but that then brings you back to why isn't he? Why doesn't Disney represent him better?
It is a weird thing. I really don't get it. Like in my opinion, right? Like I get it. It's hard to write an original screenplay for the Muppets. Like even I think when Jim Henson was around, they're like Muppets Take Manhattan.
Okay, imagine
And,
this. Imagine this. A Muppets Forrest Gump.
Well, okay, that's exactly what I was going to
Essentially,
say.
Forrest Gump, but with Kermit the Frog.
Well, my favorite Muppets movie. I don't. Well, my
think
two,
Kermit
my
should be
two,
Forrest.
two of my, two of my favorite Muppet movies is Muppets Treasure Island, and then you have Muppets Christmas Carol, which are just Muppet adaptations of things that already exist. So you have Disney, you have Muppets. Why don't we have a Muppets Star Wars? Why don't we have a Muppets Avengers? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
pigs in space.
You do have pigs in space, but again, that's a Henson original. So.
Yeah, I think that would be easy enough to adapt some. I think they did good with the Muppet movie that.
Jason
comeback.
Jason Segel.
Yeah.
Part of that though, Jason Segel, Muppet fan. He wrote this whole thing and said like how can I make this happen, right? And then obviously Disney approved it and said let's do it, but because he's an established guy and he had a passion for it, that's how it came about, and it ended up being a good movie.
Didn't they come out with one after that?
They did. They came out with a sequel to it, which had nothing to do with him. I don't even think Jason Segel was in it. It had nothing to do.
remember.
Yeah,
I
but
don't think I watched it.
they tried to make a direct sequel, and it had none of the original production behind it, other than the puppeteers and the voices, and it just was not.
You know, now thinking about it, the way I think they should actually do it is bring back the original Muppet Show on Disney Plus or.
I'm so over the streaming stuff though. Shows on streaming. There's a new Star Wars show coming out on streaming. I'm not even gonna watch it. I didn't watch the last one. I'm not watching the next one.
There's another one. What's the new one going to be about?
It's called like Kids in Space, Stranger Things in Space.
Did you?
It's
Did you
called
anybody-
Bootleg
Oh,
Ripoff.
I saw
Did
the
you
trailer
watch
for that.
the-
Seen it before.
Did you watch the new
Acolyte?
one? Acolyte. Yeah, I was gonna call it Lightsaber, but
I did not watch
It got
Acolyte.
canceled, right?
Yeah, as far as I know,
must
it got canceled.
Woke.
Because we started it and then we gave up after a couple episodes.
What now?
I don't remember starting it.
In fairness,
It's that one where the girl.
it's got
I
the
can't even-
Asian woman.
you
It
guys
takes
watched
place in the
episode one.
past.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's all we got. Maybe it's one episode then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It was pretty rough. It was a rough.
I
mean,
heard it was just way too woke.
Well,
I never watched it, but that's what I heard.
I wouldn't put it past them. I mean,
I just wasn't. I wasn't involved in any of the
We,
characters.
we
or-
never gave the answer to this.
yeah, I was gonna say when he
Is
was
this on screen right now?
Caleb texted the other day and asked who these two actors were. I had one guess.
You didn't say actors.
Yeah, I
It's
just
just famous people.
Yeah, I said
Same.
who are these
Yeah.
famous people?
But they are. Kevin James said who it was, but I don't remember.
So I got
can't
one.
remember.
I got one right then because
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
one was Kevin James.
Yeah, well, that one's obvious, right? Kevin
Yeah.
James. Kevin James is the easy one.
As
here.
soon as we tell you who the other person is, you're gonna
You'll know.
kick yourself.
You'll know instantly as soon as you know.
Yeah.
Well, he looks very familiar, but
I got.
We've actually met him.
Yeah.
I looked it up.
Oh, that's who it is. All right.
Curtis put it together. Don't
Yeah.
don't say just yet. Does anyone else want to guess? Or
I
I guess
know
Carter's
who
the
it
last
is.
one, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
after
you
Carter.
want me to tell you
after-
who
Do you
it
want me?
is?
Oh, you already know?
Wait, Dad just said we met him.
Oh yeah, so you figured it out?
Yeah. you
Yeah,
want
go
me to
ahead, say it. Yeah.
Mick Foley.
Yeah, it is. WWE. I think he's a Hall of Famer. Mick Foley.
Yeah, they were on the same high school wrestling team.
Yeah. And
Yeah, that's crazy.
and it's funny because Kevin James, you can obviously see his eyes and his nose. He sort of had that. He was pretty young looking when he got famous. Not that
Yeah.
young, but he was young looking. You can still totally see it. Mick Foley, on the other hand, even though he was probably pretty young still when he got famous, you know, it was after years of becoming a professional
Yeah.
wrestler. Like he was grizzled and like way bigger.
Yeah.
And so yeah, this looks like a complete little boy.
You see it though. You look at his eyes and eyebrows. You can see that it's him once you know it's him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally in the eyes. You totally
When you
can see
first
it.
sent this, I was like, "That's an AI picture." So that's somebody else's face on like put on some old picture.
You remember when I was telling you about Jonathan Hersey? I showed you who he was fighting.
Oh yeah. So Curtis knows a guy that does semi-pro MMA fights.
Yeah, he got knocked out within the first minute.
Wow.
The guy you know?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
That's really too bad. So like a lucky punch is what I would say.
yeah. It looked like a lucky punch, but yeah, it was a. This guy's 45, and he was fighting a 20-something-year-old in mixed martial arts. And when you see them standing side by side,
You wouldn't think the 20-year-old kid would have a shot when you see him standing side
Really?
by side.
Yeah.
The kid looks like any one of us, like no shape about him, right? Like he's just a young kid, and the guy in his 40s is like what you would expect from a cage fighter. And so you're like, oh, this poor kid has like no shot, right? Like, because I was trying to explain the other day, like the difference between of decades versus years of lifting weights and training, right?
Yeah.
Like it like you can say, oh, there's an age thing or whatever, but also decades of training does amount to a lot in comparison to a 20-something-year-old that only has a few years of training, right?
You work with this guy?
yeah, sometimes.
Is he right back to work, or is he like out for a while?
Oh no, I think he's probably right back to work. If he is, he doesn't really do that much.
He probably saved himself a good beating by going down that quick. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, there's a Mike Tyson fight coming up. But,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
who's gonna watch that? You guys gonna watch the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight? Do you think it's real?
I mean, it's
I heard about
it's
it.
as real as anything. I mean,
I probably will catch the highlights.
what's
Yeah,
what's
I think
what's
we should
not
have a watch
fake
party.
anymore?
I think we should have a watch party.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know about that, but
Is this the video of the actual fight?
Yeah, this is the video.
Are we gonna get in trouble for showing this?
I don't know why we would.
Yeah, I guess you're right. This is like some B league. This is in somebody's backyard, I think.
Yeah.
That
He didn't get knocked out.
was it. Yeah, he did. You watch him. He goes down. Watch it again.
Oh yeah.
He was just out. See if you can find the picture of them. See if you can find the picture of them when they're.
Now,
when they're,
I would say
eyeing each other up before the fight.
I would
I
say
did-
from watching this video, I can see this 20-year-old kid is in better shape than from like the weigh-in photo I saw. Right,
Yeah.
the weigh-in photo, he's obviously not flexing at all. You don't see any of his muscle tone. He just looks like he's got a little extra skin.
Yeah.
In this video, I can see he's probably as ripped as the 40-year-old guy, but he's got a layer on top of that. So.
Well, it's too bad. I wonder if Jonathan cut too much because he looked like sickly in the weigh-in photo.
Yeah. That could have been it. He could have been low on water. Any number of things.
Yeah, well,
But,
that's what I imagine. I mean, when you're low on water and your brain doesn't have enough water in the system, and you just get smacked in the head like that.
yeah, that's what kind of cushions your brain, right? The
Yeah,
fluids and stuff.
yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So he did your buddy he had to cut weight for the fight, or he just wanted to?
I don't know.
or
I think he just wanted to.
he just wanted to
was
look
just,
shredded.
Well, he looked quite a bit taller than the kid too, so to
So
get in the same weight class,
he might have had to
Yeah,
cut.
they were in the lightweight
Yeah.
division, so
Well, that's your first mistake right there. If you're an older guy, you're not going lightweight anything. You keep moving up weight classes.
You should be.
Yeah.
As you get older.
Yeah, well, I think it was Mike Tyson. I started to say that he said, I think it was him, maybe it wasn't, but it's everything's all fun and games till you actually get punched in the face too, So
Right.
Once you get, I guess you could argue this from both sides. Like the young kid, maybe he hasn't had that experience of getting hit real hard, so he's not afraid to mix it up.
Get
But
in there. And,
as an older guy, maybe you've been punched in the face a bunch of times, and it's not even going to phase you to get hit. But
Yeah.
I think that bears some. It makes a difference here when you look at that fight between a young guy and an old guy.
can you do a Mike Tyson impression, Caleb?
I can do Michael Scott doing a Mike Tyson impression.
It's all fun and games till you get punched in the face.
Oh, that was pretty good. I was just gonna do the Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
No, I'd have to practice. I don't think I could do a Tyson. Tyson impression.
that's got to be one of the hardest things. That's like telling a comedian, "Hey, say something funny here." Being put on the spot to do an impression or something like that.
I got this toad. This guy got me this toad all the way out in the desert, and he got this. They say if you pick up this this guy, it's hard to get to know the guy, but I know the guy, and he got me the toad. And they say if you kiss the back of the toad, then you're gonna see something. Question is, Joe, you want to see something?
Joe.
That's the best I could do.
It's not bad.
I really had to try and think of.
Part.
You know, that's exactly what I was going to say. That's pretty good. Just remembering the whole bit. You know.
Well, he was on Joe Rogan or on some podcast. He was talking about how he got this psychedelic toad that all toads secrete poison, but there's this one specific toad that supposedly is psychedelic.
You're supposed to lick its back or something stupid.
Yeah, and so Tyson got one of these toads and tried it out, I guess. So that's what I remember him talking. What else did he say? I don't know. We don't need to get lost in the weeds on the Tyson impressions.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tyson versus Jake Paul. I mean, it's been too much hype for me. I felt like I've been hearing about this for decades. Like, I feel like I've been hearing about the Tyson versus Jake Paul thing for longer than I heard about the election, and I could not care less.
Yeah, it got skipped over once because Tyson was sick. Or
Is that what happened?
Yeah, it got skipped
He
over.
backed
Okay.
out.
I'm just over it. Like, they've got all the money they could ever want, and they're just gonna get more of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't even entertain me, right? Like, what could possibly happen that's gonna be worth seeing?
The only
Mike
thing.
Tyson
If Jake
dies.
Paul knocks out Mike Tyson.
No, none of that stuff.
No.
Neither one of those things. The only thing that could be entertaining is if Mike Tyson shows up in shape, ready to fight, and just kicks the shit out of Jake Paul. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
beats him to a pulp.
If Tyson literally gets in there and flatlines him, like kills him in the ring, like then we got something. We're on to something. But I don't think. I just don't think that's what we're gonna get here, right?
Well,
like,
I don't think it matters as long as one of them actually gets knocked out.
No,
Because
the only thing that matters, like Dad said,
Right.
if Jake Paul gets beat to death. I was surprised though because I watched one of the meetups where they meet and take pictures or whatever, and I was surprised how big Jake Paul was. He was a lot bigger than I thought.
Mike Tyson is a short guy.
Right.
He might be built like a refrigerator, but it's a mini fridge.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And we obviously know Jake Paul is a tall, big guy. You know, so the match really isn't even. It's kind of an odd match, really. It's not even something you would.
It's
necessarily see.
totally a stunt.
it's just a big-
it's,
it's a big cash grab. But that's what I'm saying. It's not a cash grab if somebody actually gets their ass kicked. I think that if they go 10 rounds and it's win by decision, then it's not a.
Yeah,
then it's
it's
just
no
a cash
good.
grab.
It's also no good if Mike Tyson gets beat because he's
Yeah.
50
That's
something
that,
years
yeah,
old.
that's
so-
just it.
Everybody's
So
gonna say,
from,
"Well, he's old."
From Jake's perspective, I don't see what there is to gain out of this because that's just it. Mike Tyson is old. He's been retired for how long?
Yeah.
Like the last time Mike Tyson was a competitive guy, I don't even know. I don't even know what I knew back then. You know what I mean? Or has he ever fought my whole life?
No, I was going to say it may have been before you were born was the last time he was relevant.
The only
In terms
thing,
of boxing, I mean, obviously he's been in movies and stuff like that, and he's a meme, and he's a famous person that does.
I
Stupid
learned
shit,
about him from The Simpsons.
That's what I was gonna say. I remember him from The Simpsons because they made a joke about him biting a guy's ear.
Yeah.
And he's in an episode where for some reason he gets a tattoo of Bart Simpson, and then he ends up getting mad at Bart, and he has him change the tattoo from Bart's head into a grocery bag.
Yeah.
That's my first encounter with Mike Tyson. Second encounter is because of The Hangover. And then third encounter is him as a guest on Joe Rogan. And only recently has it come into my brain that he is even a fighter.
That when he bit Evander Holyfield's ear, that was basically the beginning of him being a joke. And I don't know what the date of that was, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And he only bit his ear because he couldn't fight him.
Yeah.
So he just he did whatever he could do to try and keep it going. But that's why I say the only thing that can come of this fight that's any good is if Mike Tyson actually shows up and beats. Not just beats him up, but knocks him out. Lands that one punch that it's a 30-second fight and it's over.
Right. Yeah.
Because he's not going. I mean, Mike Tyson is not lasting any length of time in the ring. I mean, come on.
We don't know what he's on for drugs because it's not really a competitive match.
Well,
I would imagine
that's it. It's like
Yeah,
who
probably
knows
both,
what's going on
both
here?
juiced out of their minds. I mean,
It's
all
not.
kinds
It's
of
not.
PEDs and
It's it's just a total stunt. It might as well be WWE, in my opinion. And if we want to talk WWE, Logan Paul
That's it,
over at
yeah.
WWE,
He
He went the right way.
I think he went the right way. I think Logan. What I've seen Logan Paul do on the WWE recently is better than what I've seen any of the recent WWE superstars doing.
That would have been the thing to do. Have Tyson and Jake Paul box on WWE.
Do you remember when who was it? When Money Mayweather fought the Big Show on WWE? Do you guys remember that fight?
No,
Oh man.
I don't remember Mayweather ever in WWE.
Yeah, well, so this it's a WWE kind of special event, Money Mayweather versus the Big Show, and it was the match was you could win by submission or knockout, and surprise, surprise, he ended up winning by knockout against the Big Show, but I remember it was very entertaining as a kid, and again, so like WWE. Not that it's necessarily meant for kids, but you either got to be willing to play along or you have to be a kid, right?
Yeah.
And so as a kid, like you're like, oh my god, like this is insane. Like look at this little tiny guy. Like Big Show's gonna tear this guy up. Like this is gonna be awesome, right? Because Big Show wasn't necessarily all like maybe he was kind of a heel sometimes, but I mostly remember him as being a good guy. When we were into WWE, or he was kind of ambiguous, but certainly in this fight, Money Mayweather's always the heel, right? That's part of his gimmick is he is the heel. So he was the heel going into this fight, but he won. He kicked the Big Show's butt. He knocked him right out, and I'll always remember that.
I remember we had a Big Show playing card or like trading card, and for some reason, the way I remember it, it was a scratch and sniff.
Oh no!
Or
Scratch and
no
sniff
way.
playing
it
card.
had something on it where if you like, or the color was just coming off or something.
It could have been like
was like-
holographic, maybe.
Were you
don't
just
have-
scraping the picture off the trading card?
Well, I remember the picture did come. Well, maybe I was. Well, you know what the problem was we did have scratch and sniff.
Did you
trading the Shrek
cards
ones.
were scratch and sniff.
Yeah, because we had a gingerbread
yeah,
Shrek card.
I was gonna ask if you colored on it with those scent markers too.
Oh, I remember those. The scent mark. You remember the black licorice?
Calvin had these
Scent marker.
markers. I'm sure other people have had them as well, but they're just regular markers. But each color smells different.
Scented markers.
And Calvin always had marker all over his face from smelling these markers. He'd like stick it right up his nostril. Get a whiff of this. It's all over his face.
I remember the cherry one smelled pretty good.
I remember they all smelled good.
Yeah.
It's pretty
that-
cool.
Speaking of WWE, did you see that the Chiefs are 9-0?
Yeah.
You think they're going to?
Yeah, of course they're going to go undefeated. Who's going to beat them? There's nobody else in the NFL that's even got any chance.
I heard there was like 6 teams that were 2-6 or something ridiculous like that. Like
Basically, the NFL lives on parity, and the parity right now is they all suck. You know, last night the Dolphins won. The Dolphins are horrible, and they beat the Rams. You know, so it's like every week, you know, they say any given Sunday, but any given Sunday, everybody is going to lose except for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Chiefs
Yeah.
are just, you know.
The thing is, I feel like the Chiefs don't have. They have Patrick Mahomes, who obviously is fairly popular. Whether he's good or not is up for debate. And you have Travis Kelce, who is also up for debate whether how good he actually is. But they obviously
Travis Kelce is not good.
No, he's done. I mean, you see he can if he'll catch the ball, but that's it. He goes down because he can't even move his feet.
Yeah, but who else do the Chiefs have that are making them so good? What's the refs?
It really is Patrick Mahomes.
I
It
think.
I was
I
gonna
think.
say,
I think.
you can't argue that he's not a good
Yeah,
player.
I think Patrick Mahomes is good, but also I think something comes with being part of a winning team and having
Yeah.
people behind you and you get momentum going. Like there's totally something to do with that. Like, yeah, having a good quarterback is going to make the difference, but everybody being able to rally together behind the quarterback and to get that momentum, that'll make a difference.
I don't follow the Chiefs close enough to know the names of every player, but when you watch them, they all of the players are reasonably good. They don't have any like huge gaping
Yeah,
holes in
there's
their
no
team.
liability on the field.
When you watch
It's-
the Patriots, I mean, they got nothing.
It's
They got
pretty sad.
literally nothing except for a quarterback that's unknown and
Yeah.
has some good traits.
So far, I like our new. I like Drake May so far. I think he's doing, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
I haven't watched every game, but
I think he sort of won me over this weekend only because he got sick of losing after a couple of games and went to his team and said, "Hey, cut the shit here.
Yeah.
Get out there and play the game for real, and stop screwing me." Basically,
Yeah, did he say that?
yeah. He talked to the offense and he said, we're not when we got 1 yard to make and we can't make it, that's a team problem here. So everyone better step up.
and I feel like that's definitely a warranted thing because from what I've seen is basically a non-existent offensive line.
Terrible.
It doesn't matter who they're playing. It's non-existent. You're just seeing them get demolished.
You look at players that I don't even know where they came from. They're
No.
marginal at best players. The coaching is terrible. I would say the ownership is terrible. And you got this kid who, by all rights, really shouldn't be talking to veterans saying, "Hey, step up." But if somebody's got to do it,
Somebody's got to do it, and from what I've seen of this kid on the field, like maybe he's not the best ever. I don't know, but he's trying until the last possible
Yeah.
second, and I feel like I've consistently seen a couple highlight worthy things. Like, or
Yeah.
it might not always be even a successful touchdown pass, but the amount of effort he put into trying to make that pass had things gone a little bit better, had he had a little more support, now you're
Yeah,
talking
he
about
pushed that game into overtime last week, or not? Was it that
Yeah.
wasn't last
Yeah.
weekend? That was the weekend before, right? Weekend before last.
no, it was
not-
last weekend.
No, I
they
think that
won-
was the week before.
All right.
They
So they
won-
won two in a row. I thought they, won
lost.
one.
They
Lost.
lost that game.
Yeah, the
I
one.
know, but so they won 2 out of their last 3, though,
I don't know.
right?
Yeah.
They
not?
won. They won last weekend.
Yeah, pull up
they
the
just
stats.
they just won. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Tuesday now. They just
Yeah,
won
yeah.
on Sunday.
But it was
A
the
week
week
ago.
before that he had that touchdown pass to push the game into overtime. I think they end up losing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
they did.
And when he's got, like you said, he's got nobody. When I was watching, he's hitting guys in the hands. They're dropping balls.
Yeah.
I mean, not consistently, but it's still plays that should be made. I don't know who that tight end they have is, but that they keep talking up that he's some good player. But every time I see him, he just looks like he needs to get beat down a couple notches.
Yeah, they beat the Jets, they lost to the Titans, and then they just beat the Bears.
Okay. Yeah. Which Jets is always a big win. Jets and Patriots.
That
always a
must
big
be
game.
they won 19-3. That must be the most points that they've won by in years.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably. I mean, they didn't win. They hardly won a game with Mac Jones, so
Yeah, Mac Jones. I'm glad we got rid of him. He was.
Oh.
There's nothing more painful
Has
to
he
watch.
been playing, or is he back?
Yeah,
played
he's-
this past weekend.
for
Threw
the
an
Jaguars.
interception, lost
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, brutal one too. Like the only player that could have had any chance to catch it was the other team. So
I love seeing clips of Mac Jones when he's screaming and hollering, whether it's because he's in a good mood or a bad mood. He's not on our team anymore, so he's free to wail and moan like a pissant all he wants now. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we talk about it a lot at home, but it's really, really difficult. Like, I love the Patriots, right? But I don't know as if I watched every game every Sunday, but as far as how much I watch sports, Patriots was like my favorite thing to watch.
yeah,
But I've only recently realized it was because I got to grow up in the Tom Brady era.
Yeah.
The Patriots were my team, and I grew up with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and Julian Edelman, Rob Gronkowski, Randy Moss. Everybody that was at the Tom Brady roast, those were all my guys growing up, and it was just like all right, it's Sunday, let's watch the Patriots kick ass, and I think that's part of why I'm a football fan as opposed to anything
of
else.
course.
You don't even remember Tom Brady went so long. There are background characters too. That's just the guys that you remember from the second dynasty. There's guys from the
Second dynasty.
Yeah.
the guys from the Teddy Bruschi. That's the only guy that's popping into my head because I don't know him either. But
Yeah,
Mike
yeah.
Vrabel.
Randy Moss is the as far back as I can remember. I remember the Moss bomb was a huge thing, you know, like it was like every game was like waiting for the Moss bomb. When are they going to use the Moss bomb? And then, oh, here comes the Moss bomb. Yeah, touchdown.
This is a departure for you, Caleb. This is a lot of sports.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is? So because I listen to like regular radio, like one of the only things they talk about on radio is sports, right? Whether you listen to sports radio or just the radio, they talk about sports.
Sports is a big common denominator. Very easy to talk about.
Yeah, it is. And
Speak for yourself.
but
If we brought up a sport that you were involved with, you would have an opinion.
Well, you know, I was just thinking about it. The only thing that, like, I like to break down a play, like a baseball play.
yeah.
Like,
you do that.
I can do that, but when it comes to characters, you know, anybody in the realm of sports and names,
I
I'm
can
at a loss.
I can remember certain things, like mostly stuff that was put in documentaries or stuff that was documentary
I do.
worthy.
I like watching a sports documentary.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I can generally more remember. But I like, of all the sports, football I definitely care the most about. So I definitely know a lot more about it. Like if this was baseball, I could bring up the bloody sock, and I couldn't even tell you who wore it.
Well, you know, I think the reason for that, Caleb, is football is the ultimate TV sport.
Yeah,
To me, it's unwatchable in person. You know, like
Yeah.
you're sitting in the stands, like
freezing your ass
yeah,
off.
you're
loud.
too far from what's going on. You don't get the replays, you know, except
Yeah.
for what they choose to show you on the jumbotron. But
I
you
think
know,
you learn to watch it in person though. You gotta be able to learn to watch it. If you're on the
if you're standing on the sideline, actually coaching a team or at that level, yeah, you can start to see things and you can appreciate the sport. But from the stands, I mean,
Yeah.
you're too far away to really. You know.
Especially in our lifetime, like I remember as we'd get new TVs, right? You'd always put on live sports, and we'd have to see the definition, and you'd be like, "You can see the sweat on this guy's." Like for me, that wasn't that big of a deal because it was like the TV was pretty clear. Okay, now I can see a guy sweating. I don't know why I needed that, but you know, you went from watching an 8-bit television and trying to guess who was on
Analog.
first.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is when I've never really liked hockey. I don't watch it. I'm not gonna go to it. None of that. But hockey on an analog, tube TV,
Yeah.
it was pointless because you had no idea what was going on. You know, now you can watch it and you can see the puck moving around you. You
Right.
can actually follow what's happening. But
Bet.
you watch it in the fuzz and fog and
I was gonna say back in the day, the rink wasn't cooled enough, so it's all foggy. The camera's way up.
yeah, they never were lit very well. You know, it was just a mess.
Just a
I mean,
disaster.
dim lighting. You could just see some shadows going across the ice.
In the 80s, I went to the Boston Garden and did to go see a Bruins game, and you couldn't see the ice. We sat in the upper deck. It was about 90 degrees, and you literally couldn't see the ice.
Probably
It was
people were
fogged
chugging
over.
cigarettes back then too.
Oh yeah, the whole place is
Just
full of
filled with
smoke.
smoke.
But yeah, so it's that's one thing I would say is high definition television has definitely made sports viewing better.
Oh yeah.
It's also made it worse, like with baseball, all the replays and stuff like that. Like, just get rid of that. I mean, we don't care. Like,
Well,
You
and
don't
also,
like the replay?
I hate it. I hate the fact that
The
if you
challenge?
you challenge because the guy's finger slipped off the base for a millisecond while the
Well,
glove was still on.
one
I
thing-
think that's garbage.
One thing that I would say about the replay is I think I like the replay. I don't think the millisecond thing. I mean, if they're gonna overturn the call. But what's amazing to me is when you go back and watch like the 2004 Red Sox World Series documentary, how often they got the call right.
yeah.
When you watch a good umpiring crew and watch a bang bang play that they actually get right.
Well, I think that's part of baseball, though. Like, you have to leave it up to these umpires to make mistakes because that's part of the game. So the umpire makes a mistake. Everybody knows it. One team's sitting there quietly laughing to themselves, hey, we just got away with one. While the other manager is out there kicking dirt on the guy's shoes, screaming in his face, spitting on him, and it's all part of the game. And that's being, sort of, it's leaving the game. The personality is leaving the game.
I don't think that they should be allowed to wait, like when the manager holds up his hand
Yeah.
and says is waiting till they can review the play in their own booth and then say if they want to challenge it or not. It's like if the New England Patriots had a play that they wanted to challenge and they said, "Hold on, wait a minute, let us review it ourselves."
That's one thing. The general manager should immediately, as soon as a play happens, he should have his call.
Yeah,
he should make his own call.
There's too many problems with the replay. Just get rid of it. Who cares about
baseball?
it?
They're really fucking up because
Yeah.
they got a pitch clock.
Well,
there's,
that's what I was gonna say. You can stand in the dugout and do this. You can
Yeah.
hold your hand up and hold up the game. But if you go 1 second over this pitch clock, all hell breaks loose. It's either a ball or a strike, and
Yeah.
people are throwing a fit. So just get rid of it all. Go back to the game it was when they started.
Yeah.
It's a better game. And this, I say this about McDonald's too, but you should not be catering to people that are not going to be your fans.
Right.
You know, if you're McDonald's, sell hamburgers and French fries.
yeah.
Stop with the salads and the healthy stuff and the
Oh, who wants apple slices?
apple slices. Come
What
on.
the fuck?
For the kids.
Beat it. You know, get rid of that stuff. And the same goes for baseball. If you don't want to sit there and watch the game, get out. Who cares? We don't
Right.
want you. I want to go to the game and I want to watch what goes on. I don't want to be like, you know, like a tennis match, my head going back and forth trying to figure out what's going on because they're on a pitch clock.
And
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's ridiculously fast when you go in person.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
Almost hard. It is
I-
hard to follow.
So I remember going to baseball games pre-pitch clock, and there was time to get up and walk around the stadium,
Yeah.
enjoy the game, and get a snack.
Yeah.
Now, if you get up and leave your seat, the game is over by the time you get back, and that's not a joke.
You lose 2 innings probably, and you know you don't even want to. Like, yeah, I get it. You go there and you pay $30-$40 for a crappy hot dog or a slice of pizza and a drink or whatever, but that's part of the experience.
How
there.
is anyone supposed to complete the 9 and 9 challenge?
It's almost impossible. now. 999.
999, yeah. It's
What's
yeah,
that? Nine hot dogs, 9 beers,
Nine
and,
innings.
9
Yeah.
innings.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's impossible.
Yeah, you got to be a competitive eater.
Yeah, they're just mucking it up. And the thing is, I don't know who's in charge of this. I don't know who's making these decisions. But if ultimately the sport of baseball, like let's uphold the integrity of the sport. Let's not give all this like bullshit pitch clock stuff because people are trying to watch on TV. Like if ultimately it ends up being a less popular sport because you want to uphold the integrity of it, I think that's what you have to do. Keep a competitive league where it's serious old school baseball, and then if you want the ratings on TV, they already found the answer. It's banana ball.
Yeah.
That is
what I
wildly
was gonna say.
successful.
If you've
You
ever
can
watched
still-
that though, that's brutal to watch.
You can
because
still
because
do-
you like
Right.
baseball.
I was going
hold
to say,
on.
if you're a baseball fan, Savannah Bananas isn't really your thing. If you're into entertainment or any other
I
thing,
love
it's
it.
great.
I'm all
You
about
can
it.
still do that though and maintain the integrity of the sport. I mean, because Dad always brings up Bobby Henderson, Ricky Henderson.
Ooh, Calvin.
come on.
No, that's somebody else.
Wow.
School of Ricky.
Who-
Come on.
Well, anyway, you can you can still do it. Like with the umpires, if you made the umpires a personality, like maybe they're not a great umpire and they mess
Country
up
Joe
on these
West,
calls.
he's already a personality.
yeah,
Joe West.
but if you
The guy's name's escaping me, but the guy, Angel Hernandez, horrendous. Every call he made was wrong, but
if you
part of the
dramatize that a little bit more and then but you keep the game the same, I think that's
But see that's what I'm saying. I'm saying you like football is an entertaining sport, right? They've tried to make football safer. It's taking away the entertainment. It's also taking away the sport. So I don't know what football is going to do if they keep trying to make it safer.
well, you notice that they stopped with all the penalties with the helmet to helmet
They,
stuff.
well, it's different. It's all every season. It's
Yeah.
a different level of bullshit you have to deal with.
New
right?
agenda.
I still want to see a quarterback get his head taken off when he gets sacked. I think that is football. But that's me. But
Why we
You
wearing
never see.
pads and helmets
You
if
don't
we're
even
not gonna
see
do
a
that?
quarterback get hit at all.
right, it's not allowed anymore. You can't hit him anymore.
I think what if football went back to no pads the way it used to be?
I'm fine.
Or
I'm fine
leather
with that
helmets,
too. I'm
because-
fine with no
because-
pads. I
I
whatever.
think that's called rugby.
No,
Yeah.
It's
I bet
still a
it's-
difference in the rules. I think you can do football with no pads and still have it be football rules. Like I
Flag
think it's going to
football.
be uglier. I think I like
I
the-
bet it's safer.
it's not because in the same like for me, I always use my football equipment as protection, right? Like
Use
I
it
was
as a weapon, though.
no, and right. So I knew a lot of kids that used it as a weapon, and those are the kids that lead with their head, like they're trying to hurt somebody. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm my equipment was to protect me, right? If I wanted somebody on the ground, they were going to be on the ground. It didn't matter, right? I didn't need any equipment to put somebody on the ground. The equipment was to protect me when other kids jump on top of me when I dive on the ball.
Speaking of bulking up, I mean, do you remember how much you used to weigh?
Well, yeah, I mean,
That's a picture you should pull
Yeah,
up. Some of those Disney photos
pull
of
up,
Caleb.
pull up Caleb's old mug.
Because, well, I'm just saying, you're talking about putting people on the ground after you just said you weighed 150 pounds. I mean, nobody's gonna believe
But
that.
this is when Caleb was 13.
This is Pee-wee
Yeah.
football we're talking about. This is not.
When
Yeah.
Caleb was 13, he was probably the biggest kid on the field
I don't know.
by width.
Definitely my last
I don't
season I
know.
played.
No,
I
I
was
mean,
definitely
that-
one of the bigger kids playing for sure.
Yeah, not true, but you were definitely a I don't know what
I would say so from like I don't even know. There was like a long period of time where I my weight stayed the same and I grew like multiple feet.
Yeah.
I'm picturing
So
the
there
thing
was
they,
a dramatic shift.
the thing they put at the end of a train track to stop the train.
Yeah. Stop block.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, yeah.
just to finish your thought, Caleb, there, I'm going to finish it for you, is I don't think that they should mess with football. Just leave it alone. Just like I don't think they should mess with baseball.
Well, yeah, like that's kind of the
It's
thing.
It's, I don't know. I mean, it's billions, it's tens, it's hundreds of billions of dollars that football generates. And it's spreading, or they're trying to force it into Europe, you know, so whatever they're doing, I guess they're doing it right. I don't know.
I think for the most part they are. I'm cautious of them. Like you said, they got rid of most of the helmet to helmet crap. They're lightening up on some of this stuff. We saw the other day Aaron Rodgers complaining about like hey, like let the guy hit me.
Yeah.
Like
He's
that's
on the
part of
field
it.
to play too. He's no
Yeah.
different than anyone else.
And so that's the kind of stuff they just have to tread lightly. They don't, which so far I think they're doing a pretty good job of.
I think they're doing a better job than when they tried to really take
When
touch
they're cracking down on the helmet to helmet thing.
Yeah, it was bad.
That was really bad because
And I think the distinction to be made too is they're getting paid millions of dollars to
Right.
do it. And people will argue, they say, well, that's no reason to, get somebody hurt, but it is a reason. You're getting paid, and you're taking that chance. You're saying, I'm going to trade my health for $50 million.
and also the people that are that pompous. Is you putting this up on stream, Carter?
Check this out with the trophy.
This is me after I led my team to a championship in Pee Wee football. Honest to God, we had two plays that won us the championship this year. Right, we had the quarterback sneak around the outside, and then we had an inside run where they'd run the ball right behind me because I could pick up two kids no problem and just huck them. It didn't matter. It was a guaranteed 5-yard run. It had to be a motherfucker in the backfield if they wanted to get that running back.
You know who
because
that
it
is?
weren't going to be a lineman.
You know who that is right behind you?
Dylan Mulligan, shout out, Marine, somewhere there he is. Shout out to all the Mulligans. Actually, we'll have to try and at some point we'll do a Kinville Mulligan crossover episode. It'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, that little guy in the background is now a Marine, and he's like 250 pounds solid muscle. So
He's your height and or maybe taller. I don't know.
he's last time I saw him, he was the same height as me and at least double my weight. So, but anyway, shout out, we got Jack watching live from PPP.
Shout out.
Yeah, just
What
don't
up,
put
Jack?
us on the big screen. That could be an issue. Don't start playing this over the jukebox. But certainly, if you guys want to hang out in the kitchen and enjoy it, you're welcome to.
If anybody's got a problem with it in the dining area, that's their problem.
That's their issue. Yeah. We got a pretty good live chat going here right now. I'm seeing a lot of different names popping up. Oh, look at this. All right.
Jack on the podcast.
We got all kinds of people in the chat. I'm loving it. Yeah, Jack, I think could be a guest on the podcast. I never would have guess Jack would be good on camera, but one time I was vlogging our softball game, and Jack was like he came more alive in front of the camera than he normally does when there's no camera. So I bet Jack, I bet you'd do very well if you wanted to come on the pod sometime.
Yeah, you know what you're gonna have to do here is you're gonna have to find a guest throne or something here that
Well,
you can throw in the mix.
kind of what I was thinking. You can't have too many people on a show at a certain point, and I kind of figured you kind of just rotate it through.
Yeah.
So like depending on who you're gonna have on.
Well, I think it's fair too. Not everybody could be here every week anyway, so
Right.
you're gonna have some empty spaces here and there.
Well, so we were talking at the beginning of the night about doing more episodes per week, and that's one of the things I said is not everybody has to be here. And I think if we pick a night of the week that we want to have a guest in here, it's going to be a different person every week. We just know, so we got to line up our guests for that night of the week, and could get somebody new in every week until we run out of all of our friends. But then I was saying if anybody does particularly well, we try and field them to be on the show more, and until we weed through all these people and find people that hit, people that click on camera.
I think whenever Amy's back around here, you got to get her in here. And
Oh, for sure. I think Amy and I would be able to have a good podcast, just because we both like to gab. We can go on, and but it would be funny because Amy has a really good sense of humor and would not be afraid to just come on here and be really silly and funny with us. And honestly,
Amy would be good.
I think this dynamic, like this episode, has been a lot of fun. But from the listener's perspective, I think we've been struggling with the silliness. I think silly high point was my blow up at Curtis. I think that might have been the funniest part of the show.
You know, it'd be good if we had on Amy and
Yeah, it's
Mom,
been pretty dry.
Yeah.
on Amy, Mom, and on Carrie all
Yeah.
together.
Do a sister show.
Yeah, that would be good.
Well, we can see what we can make happen. We can at some point or another. I do plan on dragging every family member, every friend we have, just because why not? I feel like it adds to the lore. It adds to the show. You just never know who's gonna really click on camera either. Some people are gonna just light up and take it away. Other people are gonna sink into their seat and forget where they are.
I think it would be fun to have all of our uncles on and have them tell stories of whatever.
I'd
from
love
back
it.
in the day.
Could you imagine if we could get? Well, we could probably get Uncle Dick on Zoom. I would love to get Grandpa Bob and Uncle Dick together because I've heard a lot of Grandpa's stories from childhood, and most of them involve Uncle Dick. But I'd love to hear more. Because you only get Grandpa's perspective. He's told me the craziest story he told me is how. So their generation, all the adults that were around in their generation had all been to war, right? Or most of them,
Yeah.
right? So they had all been to war, so they would hear them telling stories of listening to the sound of a bullet whiz by, right?
Yep.
And so our grandfather and his brother, our Uncle Dick, they went out back and took turns laying down behind a log, and the other one shot over their head so they could hear the bullet whiz by. And that's some crazy stuff, right? To
Shooting at each other
well,
with a firearm.
yeah, I don't know, that's a pretty wild story.
It's not only wild, but shows a complete lack of parenting that was going on.
Yeah, or it just was a completely different world. Kids
more
were left to
freedom.
their own devices, and I guarantee, they had their own rifles. Like it was probably their guns. Like it wasn't like.
Well, I don't know if it necessarily falls into this category or not, but something Caleb, you and I have talked about before is perspective.
Yeah.
And kids these days, kids have no perspective when it comes to odd stuff like that. Like
Right.
If you have a kid and he's acting tough, chances are he's never been in a fight or been hit or anything like that. But when you get that perspective of wrestling or getting hurt, even and when I was a kid, the big thing was to take your bike and make a jump and see how high or how far you could go.
Real quick, Carter, just Google 70s driveway jump and pull up a picture.
Exactly. I mean, the most ridiculous thing, you take a log and put a way too short a board, so you're basically slamming into a wall
This,
and think
this
you're
is
going to go
where
flying.
the joke in Napoleon Dynamite
Exactly.
came from, is
Exactly.
because this guy grew up in the 70s doing this.
Yeah.
You ever
And-
taken
and-
off any sweet jumps?
And to be honest, that's exactly what we did. We didn't do it in the dirt or the grass. We did it on pavements. You could get going faster. But the problem with that is when you landed on your face and on your elbows and knees.
You just ground to bits.
Exactly.
Yeah, here we go. I mean, this is a real
Milk
local
crate.
Evil Knievel here, but this is more or less what we're talking about. You got some ramshackle
milk
shit.
crate.
I mean,
A
that
cinder
is
block.
a sweet bike too. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, are you kidding me? That thing looks like a real dirt bike.
Look at the kid's
Padded
pants.
seat.
The striped pants.
Oh, it's like a Schwinn Stingray or something there in the background.
Oh yeah.
What type of
Girl's
bike is
bike.
he on? Do you know?
No idea.
This looks like it could be a mini bike. Honestly, look at the back. Look at the rear suspension. Like what bike in the 70s had rear suspension? Obviously, this one does, but
Does it have suspension?
look at that
Yeah, it looks
right
like
next
it's
to the
got
number
something there.
2. What is that?
That
It might
that,
just be for
for,
looks.
for looks. It could just be for looks because this does look like a real.
that mountain
Actually,
bike,
it looks like it has front suspension too.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. This thing looks like some kind of moped.
I had a BMX bike. It wasn't done up like that, but it was a Univega, and it came from the store with like a plastic gas tank.
Yeah.
And,
To really look like
Yeah.
a dirt bike.
yeah. So I think it was a legit thing that they sold. I mean,
Well, they did that when we were kids too. There was a bicycle that looked like a real dirt bike.
yeah. Look at this. Still got a kickstand on it too. And I can tell you for a fact that the reason those things came off was because when you hit the ground hard enough, the kickstand would come down and jab into anything.
Oh God.
But yeah, I mean that's exactly it right there. You know?
Yeah,
But
a piece of plywood. and
what
some-
kid today is going to do that?
Well, I know plenty of kids that would be willing, but would their parents be willing to let them do
Yeah.
it? That's,
Do you think
that's the
kids
thing.
have those ideas
Yeah.
on their own free
Yeah,
will?
all the time.
You
yeah.
think so?
Yeah, all the time. Kids. It's not every kid, right? Like I generally think the kids that are like looked at as like problem kids, like they're all my favorite kids because they're the only ones that haven't been able to be brainwashed by the world, right? By school and
They're self-aware.
in technology or like you remember how as a kid I just never really got into video games.
Yeah.
Like everyone else was really into them and
Right.
I just never got into them. That still exists. Like as enticing as technology is and to how easy it is for a kid to get brainwashed into being an indoor kid that doesn't do anything. Super easy to do, but there's something that our bodies are, it's built into us and it's becoming more and more prevalent. Call it ADHD, call it whatever you want to call it, but it's saying actually don't sit still, don't pay attention to a screen. It's get out there and move and throw yourself off of something so you can feel something.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids have that, and it's unfortunate because our society doesn't really give that any
They don't
place
put any
to
value in
flourish.
it.
Yeah, they don't put any value in it, and it doesn't. There's nowhere for these kids to thrive. But I was lucky enough to essentially have no rules, and I felt like I was able to thrive as a kid. And
Can you imagine if you had gone to school and were forced to sit down and shut up? And
I say how lucky I am all the time. Like I don't think I don't think I would have fared very well in public education.
yeah, as a little kid, I don't know how the brain exactly works, but in front of the doctor's office in town, the big wall, that big
Yep.
wall.
Yep.
Well, that used to where the driveway comes out there. That used to go right down, so it was kind
Nice
of smooth.
big bank into
Yeah,
the
well,
street.
the stones were sloped, so you would come all the way down, and we used to ride our bikes down that, right along the wall and down that thing. And then the idea came along, oh, let's sit on a Tonka truck and go down that thing, okay? So it's a rough stone wall, and you're bouncing on this truck, and when you went off of the wall instead of down it, you had to figure out how to get your feet under you because you're going to fall 6 feet to pavement, as a little kid. And all that stuff adds up to being helpful in life. For one, it gives you perspective when you do get hurt.
Yeah.
And for two, it makes you think on your feet, to sort of a pun there, but you got to figure that stuff out. And when you do it as a little kid, you're a lot better off because
Right.
you get a lot more knowledge. You recover quicker when you get hurt.
Yeah, kids can essentially recover from anything.
Yeah, they
like,
bounce.
They're bounced. They're made of rubber. Everything is still growing. So, like a broken limb on a kid. Obviously, I don't have children, but I don't think you should ever fear a broken limb on a kid. I think yeah, it sucks. It's tough, but it's like ultimately that's a good experience, right? Because if you're a kid and you like climbing trees, right? You might think it's really cool to go all the way to the top, right? Well, you've obviously never fallen from anything ever, right? Because if you've fallen a couple times,
Did you
start
ever fall
getting
from
up
a
there.
tree, Caleb? You ever climb a tree and fall from one?
I've never fallen from a tree specifically. I've climbed up and then slid down it and then completely thrashed the inside of my
That's
arms
what
and
I
legs.
mean. That's the same thing. That's falling from a tree.
Yeah. So I've certainly done that, right? So yeah, you get up to a certain height and you go, oh wait, I actually have to get back down. I can't jump from here. You know what I mean? Like if you have no experience in this, you're never gonna know. So yeah, like definitely let your kids climb shit and fall off of shit when they're young because it's important.
It really is. I mean, I'm sure somebody would argue against it, but those are the things that stick with you. And when you're young like that, your brain works in a mysterious way where you remember everything. Like that's where you do all of your learning. When you get to my age, you're just forgetting. There's nothing left there. It's impossible to learn.
Well, it's really it really is more like programming, right? Because I think it's like muscle memory type of stuff, like learning to ride a bike and all these things that are more of a muscle memory, and it's not necessarily like life lessons. Like as a kid, you're not always going to understand the moral of a movie or something. You know what I mean? Like you can like as far as what a kid can learn, you're physically very impressionable, right? If you go through something physically, you will remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no substitute for that either. You can't. There's just no way to. There's no way to artificially give that to anyone. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to experience it for yourself.
Because you only know what you know.
Yeah.
That's the saying, right?
You only know what you know, and then you reach a point where you're not going to learn it until it's too late, and then now you're an adult and you're useless because you don't have those experiences.
You're useless, and then unfortunately, in a lot of cases, you're worse than just useless. You're actually a problem for everyone around you because you never learn nothing, and you go around and everybody else is just for you to use, right? Because you never learned anything, and now you're a grown up, and you just think, oh yeah, everybody's just here to do whatever I want them to. Do. You know, like that's a
big departure from learning how high you can climb and fall safely.
We're sort of talking about helicopter parenting.
Yeah.
And I don't remember where it was I saw this, but somebody was making the case that helicopter parenting began with the television show there where they were always looking for people that kidnapped kids. I can't think of the name of the show.
Dateline.
No, not Dateline. The guy that hosted it, his kid was kidnapped, and they had him host the show. And I kind of believe that because parents used to be like, you let your kids go. I mean, they went out and they did whatever they did. And then once it became like, I don't know, like a pop culture kind of thing that
kids are going missing.
Yeah, kids are going missing, or you got pedophiles in the air, whatever.
Right.
People became helicopter parents, and it's ruining generations of kids and adults.
I would say like it is so that was like a real flash in the pan moment of really being able to scare people, right? Because cell phones weren't really a huge thing.
Not at all. They didn't exist then.
There was hours throughout the day where you just had to trust everybody was where they needed to be. And now we're getting to a point where everybody's tracking everybody constantly 24/7.
John Walsh, Amy said.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can't think of his son's name, but that I don't know if that's the point in time where things started to change, but all you have to do, and not that watching a movie is the same as history, but you can see the way movies were made or television shows where
Right.
kids were just left to their devices.
Yeah.
Look at the Bad News Bears. That was
Right.
that was really a pretty common scene.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything about that
nobody
movie.
had a parent dropping them off at practice or sitting. I'm gonna sit by the fence while you practice, Timmy. Like either get on the field and help or buzz off.
Yeah. I mean that really was. I mean, you look at it now and it seems cartoonish almost, but that was 70s youth sports.
Right.
But then at some point people became helicopter parents and they sat there and they took those experiences from their kids.
Right.
And I think that was, and I'm guilty of it to some degree too, I mean, I'm not saying I didn't do that. We always kept pretty close track on everyone.
Or like I think like the for you as a parent, the example I would think of kind of almost getting like wrapped up in like a cultural thing was as far as us being online. Like having any sort of online presence, like you're just gonna get abducted and molested. Like that was
That was the fear. I think
that was
hold
it was
on.
a big media driven fear. Is
Obviously,
what I'm saying.
that's gone way out the window. But honestly, I've always thought that was kind of the right move because I think generally, I don't think really anybody should be using the internet.
I don't think a kid should be online without their parents' supervision, and I don't even think it's bad to tell a kid, no, you're not going to be online. You're a kid. I think that's fair thing to say. But like not even that you made the wrong choice, but I feel like it was driven at the time by that idea of people being abducted. Not so much just the idea that you're a kid and you don't need to be exposed to the internet. Just it was more like we were allowed to use the internet. We just couldn't like physically have our name or a picture on there. you know?
Well,
which again I think is fair.
I think that's You could look at it a couple different ways, but I think in general terms, I think you're better off not to have a presence online,
Right.
for a variety of reasons. One of them being future employment. I mean, that can be a problem. Or as a child, you don't know all the things that are going on. You don't know like, oh, I live here or I go there, and you don't know who's watching that. So I mean, there is that chance, I guess, that you're putting too much information out. But what did you see? I think it was Australia that's going to try and keep kids from access.
Yeah, I think I heard about
until
that.
they're 16. So like if you got a phone, you don't have unfettered internet access.
I don't think it's the worst idea.
I don't see how you can enforce it though.
I have no
They can
idea.
do anything in Australia.
I mean, yeah. Every place is different in terms of what they can and can't do. But I do think you could try, like, the state of Texas somehow makes you prove that you're over 18 before going on a porn website. Okay, for some reason here in New Hampshire, you can just click yes, I'm 18. And I think I figured that out when maybe I was 14. And I just don't, so I think there can be a middle ground here. Like, I think that's fair. If to access this, you have to be over 18. If there's a way of verifying that, why not verify it?
Yeah, but how do you verify it? That's the.
Well, they make-
apparently, there's a
I
way
think
to
you
do
have
it in the
upload
state
your-
of Texas.
I think you upload your ID or something like that.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
You have to make
fake
a phone
IDs have
call
been
in.
around since the
You have to
beginning of
phone
time,
call
so-
into a
Well-
hotline. Yeah, I'm
Right,
trying
but-
to access the website right now. Can you?
But-
Can you
I
let me
think
through?
I think everybody's still like.
But here's
No, hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
Everybody's still kind of in the zone where they're believing that if you're on the internet, that maybe there's some like veil of secrecy, like maybe your phone has an ID that shows up to the website, but
Right.
the ID doesn't necessarily indicate that it's you. But that I don't think is the case anymore. I think no matter where you are, what you're doing, somebody has got the data. They've seen you on a camera. They've seen your car go through, the toll booth. They know where your phone is. They know if you're on somebody else's phone. They're using the cameras. They're using your breathing pattern.
I think you're right.
I feel like I'm
think-
listening
maybe
to
not-
Alex Jones.
Yeah. So basically, I was starting to get aggravated because you're really dragging us here.
Just so you know,
And-
we're at an hour and a half. so.
But no, I get what you're saying. I think
I don't think
technology is
there's
getting
any-
smarter.
There's no reason to believe that they do not have that information at all times. It doesn't matter who it is. Anybody that has access to the internet can have the information on anybody.
The frogs are gay.
So
I mean,
so
I don't think that's a stretch at all.
So to Calvin's point, like if we're gonna say, okay, you're supposed to be above 18 to be able to view this, right? There's no reason that you can't have a verification step, right? So you just brought up a fake ID or whatever, right? Back in the day, you had to go and buy a magazine. You had to go and look a person in the eye in the store, and sure, you could try a fake ID there. Who knows if that's going to do you any favors? But there's always been a barrier to entry, right? And whether or not that barrier really worked, there was a barrier, and right now there's just no barrier, right?
Yeah, there's no barrier, and I mean, you're kind of being more specific about the porn side of the internet.
Well, just because I had just recently heard that in Texas you do have to somehow verify your age.
I think that it'd be pretty easily enforceable to have a fingerprint reader on anything that you wanted to access the internet. I think that would be a pretty easy thing to implement, and the fingerprint readers are pretty much on everything.
What I'm saying here is
well, they're already on your phone.
we are beyond
That's
that.
what I'm saying.
They know where your physical body is located.
I tend
they're-
to agree
you're
with what
touching.
Calvin's
You,
saying.
there
here.
is a way you can get off grid. It's not like they're tracking you.
No,
as hard as
no.
you're,
Yeah,
you're
right,
putting
right,
it out.
right.
But they
Yeah,
are.
right
if
now
you're
you
around,
can still.
if you're around technology, that's
I'm-
not.
what I'm-
even if it is.
Do you want
protected.
that illusion gone though? Do you want to know that somebody is looking at you through the camera as soon
Well,
as you
You
open the
already
phone
know
too?
that though.
Yeah,
How do you
that's-
not?
that's
Where
the
have you
thing
been
is,
living
it's
that you
like-
don't know that?
I'm saying the
They're
illusion.
listening on our TV. They're watching
The
us
one
on
thing
our
that gives me
phones.
comfort is that I do not do anything that would, other than buy things. Like that's the only thing that anybody would want my information for is like to send me an ad for something that I might buy. So that's what comforts me is like the only thing that it's doing is giving me better ads.
That's all you know it's doing, but it
it
could
could-
have a more sinister
It
plot
could
that we
be
don't know
like
about yet.
slightly trying to change my opinions on things.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea. I have no
That's-
idea.
that's
I'm getting
pretty-
lost here. You guys are the last 20 minutes.
No,
here
this is the kind of stuff I
Caleb's
like.
melting down.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
been a
know.
long day.
Gil's crashing.
Like
Well,
I
I'm
Eat a
said,
couple burritos.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're at an hour and 37 minutes, so that's the longest we've ever gone. So.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, who's running this train anyway?
Well, it was just we were at a bad spot. I was trying to look for a spot to derail it, but you
You
literally
guys just kept
started
going deeper.
He just started
like,
started talking about abduction, and I figured
Caleb
he
was
just had
trying
to
to-
go
I was
through
gonna-
it to-
He was trying to go
Okay.
silly.
Well, but also
I was trying
no-
to go
not-
silly, and he wasn't even biting on it. I was going all kinds of Alex Jones. And Calvin was talking about all the information.
But
It's
also, but what I was trying to do was weave some kind of narrative between all the shit that just went on in the
Yeah,
last.
you totally
there was a
failed. I
lot,
have no idea.
right? Because nobody ever fucking let me
Yeah,
get to it.
I don't think so.
And I've already forgotten all of what we were talking about because that's how little I cared. But I was gonna weave
Well,
it
if you
all
don't care.
together. I was gonna do the weave. I've learned a lot about the weave. I was gonna do the weave. And we were gonna circle it all back, and it would have made sense, and we could have wrapped this thing up. But
I just
but
wanted
you
to-
guys
No,
were
hold
kept-
on, hold on.
you
We can
kept-
work it out.
Well, no, you're gonna do the same thing.
No, we
again.
can work it out.
Last time
Okay.
we let you work it out, it went worse, and it kept getting worse after that.
No.
So
Listen,
no,
personally,
ah.
I like to talk about the tinfoil hat stuff. Okay, and I don't even think that's a tinfoil hat thing. I think that's just proven
We're trying
no
to
knowledge.
end the episode.
Okay, so
Oh,
there's-
wait a minute. You can try and end it. That's a good thing to end it on. He wants to get into conspiracy theories. So
We did a whole
Shut up.
cryptid thing.
that
was
wasn't a
cryptids.
conspiracy.
We were in homunculus.
just like a teaser.
Oh
That's
my
not
God.
it.
Just
Yeah.
like a little
Homunculus is
teaser here.
We're
Homunculus. is a
talking about
conspiracy.
9/11 next episode.
All right, tune in on Tuesday.
9/11 an
Calvin,
inside job?
Calvin's
I
gonna
just-
debrief us.
I just
I
wanted
would
to-
I would do a presentation for that.
Okay, stop for a second so I can talk. I just wanted to take a second
Pump
because
the brakes.
we got a lot of comments this episode, and
Chat's blowing up.
a lot of the time somebody will comment and we don't acknowledge the comment, and I feel bad because I think that's part of what makes it fun for at least me is getting comments, and
Yeah, true.
so I think
let's go to the comment.
Lifted New England style was laughing about dad eating peanut butter and mayo sandwich, but we had already passed the conversation by the time
Now,
that comment had come in.
I do have a question about that.
Yeah, going back to that topic, I feel bad about derailing. So I'm just saying we appreciate the comments and to not think we're ignoring the comment section.
Yeah,
it just doesn't.
Well, and if you paid attention to the episode, we didn't ignore the comment section. We did. We shouted it out, and when the timing was there and it was relevant, Amy saved us with the John Walsh comment. It wasn't.
And we got his son Adam.
Yeah, it wasn't.
No, I'm just saying they weren't all. I'm saying they were not all acknowledged, and not everybody was acknowledged.
So
So,
was
I'm
it-
saying we appreciate all the comments. That's
Was it
all I'm
Miracle
trying to do
Whip
is we
or was it
appreciate the
Helmet?
people
No,
watching.
Miracle Whip is rubbish. and
I feel like that would
remember
make it better.
Butterbean.
We're actually a big Butterbean household.
Absolutely.
We're all fans.
Yeah.
Ever since he first appeared in the first Jackass movie, we've all been fans.
It's Butterbean has been a common nickname given to lots of different people. So
Yeah. But
They're giving a butterbean.
actually, different Butterbean story. He
Whoa,
recently.
we're trying to end the episode.
Oh, okay.
teaser.
That's
So
why
next
No,
week, tune in to hear about 9/11, Butterbean,
Tinfoil
hats, kites.
Actually, let Calvin. This is what you should do: is let Calvin dictate the script for the next show, and then he won't show up.
Yeah, that's exactly what would happen too. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So,
I was just saying,
I-
and this is we got 30,
Uncalled for.
38 views so far. That's best.
thir-
the best.
38. That's definitely our
so-
highest amount of live viewers.
No, let's weed it back
that's-
together.
Yeah, not all the
That's
same
total
time.
views. We had
To-
10.
Total views. What was our consecutive number?
I think the
10.
highest I saw was 13. but-
Okay,
Well, that's pretty good.
that's pretty good. 13 consecutive.
We talked
About everything.
helicopter parenting, football,
A lot of sports heavy.
sports. heavy.
Sometimes there can be two voices in the room. There's just too many. And I tried to stomp my feet, and I tried to yell, and I tried to helm the ship. And if nobody's gonna let me do it,
Well,
nobody's
here's
gonna
the
let me.
problem. No, here's the
if
problem.
nobody's gonna let me do it, nobody's gonna let me
You're
do it,
like-
and that's fine.
You're saying on one hand,
Because I'm listening
with
to
a
the
bunch of
show
adults.
at the
These
same
guys don't
time that I'm
talk.
on the show. I'm listening to the show,
Yeah.
and when it's boring me, it's boring the world.
Yeah.
And I know how to
No, that's
helm the
not true.
ship.
That's
I can lead us to open waters.
Sometimes, no, let me be honest.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, I mean, you can just What are you using for an out screen? Are you still using the same one, or did you go with the idea of the some of the other pictures we talked about?
No, I just
Yeah, he
the
didn't
same,
put up a new
same
one.
screen.
So you
It's
got
just a
same screen.
It's just a pain in the ass.
You're
that
complaining
I haven't figured
on
out
one
an easy
hand
way
that
to do it.
Calvin,
so.
shut up.
Everybody talks. Everybody's talking over each other, and then
You guys are
Then you s-
talking about
but then-
boring shit. Can you not listen to me when I'm trying to tip things into an interesting direction? Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I'm saying
no.
Hey, I got accused of filibustering last time, so I was trying to let Caleb run the show here.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to let Caleb run the show. I'm just saying that you can't complain. You can't complain.
I'll complain whenever I want to complain. And again, as I started the show, I didn't ask for this seat. I was given this seat. Okay? We'll see you guys next week.